Hello, you're welcome to the Channel 1 Newsroom. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 5 Ola Hansen Lane at Tesano here in Accra. I am Charles Ozukumi. Coming up. National Identification Authority offices nationwide shuts down over staff strike.
I think they're gonna have to do something on Thursday, but I don't know how it is went. So I'm just going back.
Ghana card no yɛ very agent paa ɛma me deɛ akɔ ne sɛ sisi a no sɛ aban no ɛyɛ wei no ɔmo ma yɛde Ghana card ne linki ma bank account ne biribiara yɛ nti sisi a no me sika ɛwɔ wei bank a mpɛ sɛ meyɛ dɛ menkɔyi sika.
Also coming up, Brian Achiampong declares intent to contest NPP flag bearership for 2028.
The important point is that the conclusion of the report suggested that there was a need to have a different candidate that can galvanize the party, unite the party for victory. And so with that said, a decision has been made that I will contest.
Parliament approves President Mahama's Supreme Court nominees despite minority objection.
Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the minority leader and members of the minority side who spoke before me, and they all clearly confirmed that the nominees are very, very competent.
Later in the bulletin, 12-year-old rescued after viral abuse video prompts police action. In CNR business, World Bank warns of food crisis threat despite Ghana's agricultural progress. And in Channel 1 Sports, Ghana's swimming boys eyes Commonwealth Games with optimism. Thank you for tuning in. Let's begin the bulletin from the Labour Front, where all offices of the National Identification Authority nationwide have shut down following an indefinite strike by staff over unpaid operational support allowances. The move has brought services to a halt, leaving scores of applicants stranded across the country. Now, in an interview with Channel 1 News, the head of corporate affairs at the National Identification Authority, Williams Ampoma Emmanuel Dallas, warned that government institutions could suffer significant revenue losses if the strike continues beyond 48 hours. Details in the following report.
Operations at all National Identification Authority (NIA) offices nationwide have ground to a halt following an indefinite strike declared by staff over unpaid allowances. The industrial action, which began on Tuesday, June 24, 2025, has left regional, district, and premium centers completely deserted, disrupting all NIA-related services across the country. In an interview with Channel 1 News, head of corporate affairs at the NIA, Williams Ampoma Emmanuel Dallas, stressed that if the strike continued beyond 48 hours, government institutions could lose substantial revenue.
So if our officers are not working, it means our verification platform will also be shut down. And it is a national security threat. Once we unplug, no bank will be able to work successfully. All the government institutions will lose revenue. We are talking about just 1.4 million every month for this 20% allowance to our staff, compared to what government will lose if the strike is to continue for more than 48 hours. So we are appealing to the Ministry of Finance to, as a matter of urgency, commit to timelines.
National Chairman of the Public Service Workers Union, Ken Trinibuakudia, says the union is willing to call off the strike if the government commits to restoring and paying all outstanding allowances.
Actually, we are asking for what is due the workers. The allowances must be restored. Government must give direction. If it's not ready to restore it today, when does it intend to restore it? If government is talking about budgeting constraints, mid-year review is just a few months away. Government must show commitment that what has happened is an error and that the poor workers should not suffer for this error. If government decides that there's money today to pay continued allowances, the strike will be called off.
The situation is no different in the Ashanti region. Offices of the NIA at the Asokwa Municipal Assembly remain shut, leaving many applicants stranded. At the regional office in Adum, scores of frustrated individuals were seen lingering with hopes of being attended to. Some stranded applicants shared their experiences with Channel 1 News.
I needed a Ghana card today to do something on Thursday, but I don't know how it is went. So I'm just going back home. There's no more, so she go to the campus for that. There's no more.
Ghana card no very agent pa emami. They are going say sisi ano say aban no eyewi no. Omuma the Ghana card ne link ma bank account ni bibia e. Sisi ano misika ewo we bank am pese me de min ko iska. Ba me Ghana card na ayira e. Na me ba senka me ba bitwa nanka ma ko banga ako iska so me buy no eso mo ko strike obi anhwe ani a mo be amaye tini yesre abani say won tin ani embehwe omoye se ne be ya ombetimi ayama ne nyina no ya live comfortable.
Meanwhile, management of the NIA says it remains committed to resolving the impasse. It has assured staff that the 20% operational support allowance would be paid as soon as possible and remains hopeful of positive feedback from the Ministry of Finance.
Let's still stay with labor issues because the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEWU-GH, has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, demanding an immediate reversal of its directive mandating traditional public universities to swear in representatives of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEWU-TUC, onto their governing councils. Now, the ultimatum follows a GTEC letter dated June 18, 2025, which officially recognized TEWU-TUC as the legitimate body to represent workers on the governing councils of the public traditional universities. He argues that the bargaining certificate held by TEWU-TUC does not nullify the rights of TEWU-GH, stressing that the Commission's decision undermines union pluralism and violates established processes. Now, we now have in studio the National President of the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEWU-GH, Sulemana Abdul Rahman, to discuss this matter further. Thank you. You're welcome to Channel 1 TV. First of all, there's a bit of, TEWU-GH, TEWU-TUC. What's the difference here?
Okay, so TEWU-GH is actually a union based in the public universities. We have our members covering all the public universities. And our name is unique. That is Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana.
Yes.
And TEWU-TUC, the differences here is that they have their majority members coming from GES, Ghana Education Service. So there's a clear distinction in between these two unions. Initially, we used to be with TEWU-TUC.
Okay, so you are a breakaway group.
Yes, so we thought it wise, upon a lot of stakeholder engagements, the vice chancellors in the public universities, and they said no, the best way to deal with issues in the public universities is to have our own group, which is called Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana. So we are operating the tertiary space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you just have one union? That way you're stronger even in negotiations.
Yes. Thank you for the question. And that is why we even came out and then form TEWU Ghana, that is Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana. Because you cannot be mingling with a union that is having members at the, secondary schools and GHS. Our conditions of service are not the same.
Okay.
So there's a clear differences when it comes to our welfare issues and all that. And one example I want to give you is this. You have Vice Chancellors Ghana, VCG. When they are having their meetings and all that, you will not find headmasters in secondary schools and JSS being mingling with them because their conditions of service is not the same.
Okay.
It varies, and there's a clear distinction of the tertiary and then pre-tertiary. Okay. So we are tertiary union, and then we operate within the tertiary spaces. Yeah.
Okay. So, but why this ultimatum though? Because last time we spoke to you, you were quite confident about your upcoming meeting with the GTEC. Yes.
So this ultimatum actually came as a result of GTEC treating us very, very unfairly. Okay. Why do I say so? We had a meeting with GTEC, that is TEWU Ghana, on the 19th of June. And in that meeting, GTEC promised that they were going to write a letter inviting the two unions to sit down to resolve this issue once and for all. And we all agreed, which GTEC even wrote a letter to that effect. And we were supposed to have a meeting on the, 26th of this month, June. That is just a day, 2 days to come. That is Thursday. And all of a sudden, we received a letter yesterday from GTEC purporting to say that they have done some consultations, legal consultations, and that they have been advised that they should allow TEWU-GH to be represented in the council, which we found very, very unfortunate. Okay. Because in all labor issues, when it comes to representation of various committees or councils, it is the majority union that actually represent the members. Because you are representing a constituency, carrying the members' views to this particular, council meetings. So if you have a minority, example, KUST, TEWU-GH has 125 members, and then TEWU Ghana has 750 members. So at what point can you change, this majority to minority, and whose views are they going to take to the university councils? And I can tell you that in some of the public universities, TEWU-GH doesn't have even a single member in these public universities. And I can mention, Amstead, for example, Secretariat, for example, they have 0 numbers in these places. I can go on. There are about 6 or 7 public universities. They don't have even a single member. UDS, for example, they have 14 members against about 553 members. So at what point will you shortchange the majority to minority? It doesn't work that way. And in Ghana Parliament, we all witness what happens when, the administration, that is Nanado's government time, when there were some little changes of MPs that was, going for, independence and all that. We all saw what happens at the Parliament House. It was just about 2 differences. And we all know representation in Parliament is simple majority. Even if someone is having 1 vote difference, the person represents the constituency at Parliament.
So in the next 7 days, what are you expecting of GTEC?
Yes, so our expectation is that we have been treated so unfairly. We are law-abiding citizens. We are expecting GTEC to humbly and simply withdraw this letter that they issued out yesterday, asking that the public universities where TEWU-GH doesn't even have a single person, they should find someone to go and sit there.
And then do what? Reverse that decision and do what?
Yes, so we are asking them to reverse that decision and to make sure that they call all of us into a meeting, because when they were to put a stay on the representation of the university councils, GTEC didn't just sit at the comfort of their zones and then do that. We came together for a meeting, and it was a decision that was taken in a meeting that everybody should stay until the matter is determined or it is resolved. Okay. The matter has not been resolved, and as I told you, just last week we met with the GTEC director with his team. You promised to engage the 2 unions on 25th June. That's Thursday, 2 days to come. That meeting has not been organized yet, and you went ahead to issue a letter asking our members not to go into the university councils. We see this very unfairly, and he Director must withdraw this letter with immediate effect.
All right. We'll see how this matter unfolds in the next 7 days, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Suleiman Abdul Rahman is the National President of the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEWU-GH. Let's still stay with labor issues because all these labor issues have been ongoing for the past few weeks now. We have on the phone lines Member of Parliament for Manson Kwanta and member of the Parliamentary Committee on Employment, Labour Relations and Pensions Committee, the Honourable Chinebua Kodia-Fuku. Grateful to you, Honourable, for joining us here on the Channel 1 Newsroom. The Labour front appears increasingly a bit unsettled with a number of strikes and threats to strike and all of these issues that are coming up. What is the Labour Committee doing to resolve some of these issues?
Yeah, thank you, and good evening to viewers and listeners. Thanks for having me. So, firstly, I'll say indeed it is concerning to have labor upheaval because the expectation is that services will be running, especially the critical ones. Educational institutions, health facilities, all these will be running, so Ghanaians will have the services. However, we have to be realistic. When cost goes up, staff expects to be shored up as well to be able to cope. So, it's unfortunate, it's worrying. However, the reality is the reality. Staff expect that they'll be shored up when living costs goes up. So, for Parliament and for the Labour and Employment Committee, together with the Committee on Health, like I said, we would be happy to have services running. And as you know, when the issues of the nurses came up, these committees actually came up, had meetings with the unions to try to calm them down, advise them to go by the collective bargaining agreement and so on and so forth. So Parliament has been doing its best to get the unions to come to the table and for negotiations to continue. However, I must say there's a limit to everything. And if you look at the trend that we are seeing now, it tells you it's not just one or two institutions or three. The trend is increasing. Okay, and I'm not surprised. Again, because if you have public sector salaries being increased by 10%, whereas utility price for, say, electricity is going up by 14.75%. That tells you there's a stretch. If your salary is increased by 10%, but you're expected to pay, more on electricity by 14.75%, that is a stretch. And, you will have staff being tired up, and in this instance, they'll be calling up for living wages, what really they were able to accommodate or they were able to purchase few days ago or few weeks or few months ago. With the same money, they are not able to purchase same. And that is difficult.
Some people would argue that the labor unions are being unfair to government. This government is just 6 months old. How do you respond to this?
Oh, you see, when you are in government, when you take the reins of government, you take the assets and you take the liabilities as well. It has to be balanced. If government is coming out without even having done much, to say that it has put controls on the local currency depreciation against major trading currencies, whilst it knows the reality is that, gold reserves that were built some few years ago is what is probably shoring us up, when it knows it is major currencies, trading currencies on their own that have devalued and not much that have been done locally. If it's taking this credit, then why would you shy away from labor agitation. I mean, you are the one in charge of government now, so you take the credit, you take the responsibility as well.
All right.
But you see, let me say this. You see, most of these institutions that we have seen having these demonstrations or upheavals, I know they have got collective bargaining agreement, meaning they have agreed with the responsible departments or ministries as to what ought to be paid to them at every point in time. Okay, and at what point in time such agreements would have to be reviewed. So for them to be coming out like this, I am sure definitely these agreements have been breached in one way or the other.
All right.
And we've got to understand this when we met the unions representing the nurses, that their collective bargaining agreements have been breached in one way or the other, and these have to be addressed.
Thank you very much for your time here on the Channel 1 Newsroom. Honorable Chinubu Akudiafoko, Member of Parliament for Manson Kwanta, and a Member of Parliament Employment, Labour Relations and Pensions Committee. Let's move on away from labour issues and focus on this tragic story coming in from the central region. 3 school children and a taxi driver have tragically lost their lives in a fatal crash at Nanchubu along the Winneba-Apam Highway. The children were returning from school when a speeding vehicle collided head-on with a taxi they were traveling in. Authorities are raising red flags over the increasing rate of accidents on this stretch of road. Our Central Regional Correspondent Akwesiado has more in this report.
The driver of a Hyundai Jet taxi registered CR748-20 died on the spot after a violent head-on collision with a Toyota RAV4, registration JN5507-18. Emergency personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service had to work strenuously to extricate his body from the wreckage. One of the school children also died instantly. 2 other pupils who were rushed to the Trauma and Specialist Hospital in Winneba sadly passed away while receiving treatment. According to preliminary investigations, the accident was caused by wrongful overtaking.
We understand that the taxi was heading towards Apam, whilst the RAV4 was also coming from the opposite direction. In fact, eyewitness reports indicate that the RAV4 made an overtaking, and I think the taxi, who was also coming from the opposite direction, did not notice him, and that was what actually caused the accident.
The victims were pupils of Uncle Rich Basic School and St. Paul Basic School. Their untimely deaths have left school authorities and parents in shock. Some school officials are attributing the tragic outcome to the absence of a fully equipped intensive care unit at the Trauma and Specialist Hospital.
The hospital authorities were doing all to rescue them. It happened that one condition, they needed intensive care unit, which was not available here in Trauma Specialist Hospital, Winneba. They made calls either to transfer them to Cape Coast, and the ICU was full. They checked Ridge Hospital and Kolebu, and they couldn't get any favorable decision, that there are no beds.
The Kasua Winneba-Apam Mankesim Highway continues to rank among the country's most dangerous roads, with frequent accidents reported.
Looking at the impact of the accident, you could see that they were, going more than that, and that is very wrong. So we always want to advise them that they should look at the road signs. Where you cannot overspeed, I think it is indicated you can overspeed. There are some areas you cannot overspeed.
This adds up to the several hundreds of casualties who have lost their lives on this particular stretch. Authorities are urging drivers to exercise compliance to road traffic regulations when using this road. For Channel 1 News, I am Akwesiado, Winneba, Central Region.
Now, Parliament has approved the nomination of 7 justices to the Supreme Court by President Mahama. Although the minority caucus opposed the nomination on grounds of inconsistency with the suspension of Gertrude Tokonu as Chief Justice, the judges were approved by a majority decision. Channel 1 News' Ni Ayuku Okai reports.
Following the Appointments Committee's vetting of Justice B.L. Simon Subari, Justice Senor Jamepe, Justice Kweku Akabuafo, Justice Philip Bright Mensah, Justice Janapari Battels Kojo, Justice Afisa Tuamale-Boba, Justice Dennis Dominic Ajayi. Parliament on Tuesday approved their nominations despite the minority group's opposition to the nomination. The caucus argued that the nomination was inconsistent with the suspension of Gertrude Tokonu as Chief Justice.
The committee, in conclusion, all members of the New Patriotic Party, the minority, were opposed to and voted against the nomination of all the justices on the grounds that, 1, the appointment of 7 justices was inconsistent with the NDC's own principle. We don't see it as filling vacancies, but we see it as reshaping a constitutional order at the very time that they have suspended the Chief Justice and they seek to dismiss it. Mr. Speaker, we also hold the view that the Supreme Court abdicated a constitutional duty and remained silent when fundamental principles of natural justice were violated. It is one of our reasons for opposing these 7 nominations. Mr. Speaker, again, we take the NDC by their own word. In the past, they said there was a judicial bloat. What has become of that argument? Mr. Speaker, at no point has it been canvassed that the President has acted unconstitutionally. So the Constitution has been complied with. So, Speaker, the second set of questions that we ask ourselves would be the competence, the capacity, and the ability of the nominees. And Mr. Speaker, I have listened to the minority leader and members of the minority side who spoke before me, and they all clearly confirm that the nominees are very, very competent.
The minority caucus in a media briefing also demanded the immediate reinstatement of 100 workers of the Bank of Ghana who were dismissed, stating that such a move violates the labor laws and the human rights of the affected staff.
The minority in Parliament stands shoulder to shoulder with these workers, and we will not waver. We demand 1, immediate reinstatement. The Bank of Ghana must restore every single dismissed worker to their rightful position without any further delay. Their appointments were lawful, their terminations were not.
The Defense and Interior Committee, as part of its oversight responsibilities, also paid a working visit to the Ghana National Fire Service, where concerns were raised by officers about the use of obsolete equipment.
Internationally, they don't use fire tenders for that long. Within the matter of about 5-6 years, fire tenders are to be boarded off. But in Ghana, we are having fire tenders as old as 22 years. And the challenge associated with this is that the parts are not even available because the manufacturers are not manufacturing those equipment again. And so even getting parts to replace them is a problem. And Honorable Chair, when it comes to the equipment situation, I'm happy today the committee is here. We have gotten to a situation where if we do not get equipment within this year, next year, we better close fire service down.
We as a committee will take up this matter very seriously and as a matter of urgency with the minister and impress upon him to consider the critical requirements of the fire service as one that must be dealt with almost immediately.
Reporting for Channel 1 News from Parliament, Ni Ayukweyi Okan.
Away from Parliament, the University of Ghana Health Services Directorate has issued an alert over a resurgence of COVID-19 following reports of suspected and confirmed cases on campus. Staff, students and visitors are being urged to wear face masks, observe hygiene protocols and avoid large gatherings. The Directorate has reactivated its COVID-19 response protocols and is closely monitoring the situation. Community members experiencing flu-like symptoms are advised to seek prompt medical attention. The university says collective vigilance is key to preventing further spread. The Ghana Police Service has rescued a 12-year-old boy who was subjected to severe physical abuse in a viral video that sparked outrage across the country. The boy was seen tied with a nylon rope and hanging from the roof of a building while being viciously beaten by two men, according to a statement issued by the Public Affairs Unit of the Western Regional Police Command. The incident occurred at New Ankasa, a community near Elubo in the Western region. The boy was allegedly assaulted after being accused of stealing 200 cedis. The suspects, identified as 58-year-old Issa Moro and 27-year-old Suleiman Abdul Rashid, have been arrested and are currently in police custody, assisting with investigations. The police confirmed that the victim has since received medical attention and has been reunited with his father. You are still watching the Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 TV. Still ahead. World Bank warns of food crisis threat despite Ghana's agricultural progress. We have details in a minute. Please stay with us.
Imagine a place where technology and compassion meet. A sanctuary of health, precision, and trust. At Olive Health Diagnostics and Imaging, we redefine excellence. From advanced ultrasound, X-ray, and CT scan services to accurate laboratory, cardiology, and dentistry, our mission is clear: to provide the care you deserve with accuracy, precision, and speed. Your trusted healthcare partner, Olive Health Diagnostics, always ready whenever you need us. Olive Health Diagnostics and Imaging, redefining excellence in medical diagnostics.
Where to get Polytank?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
No, I want left, right.
That's right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, and ye data. Oh no! Abe, na here. Me pe Polytank ato. Enu tin ta menu ya ba otu ko bia be na ba hejo. O fu to bia, e de enjoy ye kura.
Akuya bulambu kotoman. Emu ha.
Like they take took my eyes. Came to me the chuku. Go to the distributor and you give the original Polytank. Polytank. You hear the sound?
Polytank. Papananka Sankasa.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
Welcome back. This is the Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 TV. Up next is Channel 1 Business with Nashika Caesar.
Channel 1 Business is brought to you by MTN and Ecobank.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy chop money, emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm in rent, emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Aleshka, you're welcome.
Hi, Charles. Thank you very much.
What's the World Bank saying?
Well, they are warning of a potential food crisis. Hopefully it doesn't get to happen.
I thought we were doing well on the agri front.
Well, we were, but let's see. I hope not. I hope it doesn't come to pass. So.
All right, take it away.
A deepening food crisis across West Africa is casting a shadow over Ghana's recent agricultural gains. The World Bank in its June 2025 food security update warns that despite improved domestic core production, Ghana remains vulnerable due to its reliance on food imports from neighboring countries, still battling inflation, drought and conflicts. Here's more.
The World Bank knows that in countries like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea and Nigeria, food prices have been driven up by over 45%, mainly due to high transport and supply chain costs. This, combined with regional flooding and insecurity, could undermine local food access in the coming months, which is described as the lean season. Although overall inflation dipped to 18.4%, food inflation in Ghana remains high even as global food prices continue to fall. The World Bank warns that unless Ghana addresses internal inefficiencies and strengthens its food systems, the benefits of easing international prices may not reach the average consumer. Despite these risks, the report points to encouraging trends. Global food markets for staples like maize and rice remain stable, with no major supply shocks expected in the near term.
Meanwhile, it is expected that government's agri initiatives will mitigate against these risks. For Channel 1 Business, I am Daniel Saki.
Now, Ghana's soybean production has grown significantly over the past 4 years, rising from 209,000 metric tons in 2021 to over 350,000 metric tons. The boost is largely attributed to the Spring project, which introduced improved practices and drought-resistant seeds. Despite this progress, farmers and stakeholders continue to criticize the government's export ban, arguing it hurts local producers who depend on foreign markets. Another regional correspondent, Shawana Yusuf, has more.
Stakeholders in Ghana's soybean value chain have criticized the government's export restrictions, calling the policy ineffective. Speaking to Channel 1 TV at the closure workshop of the Spring project, Dr. Samuel Ejay Nsia, project coordinator with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, said the ban has not produced its intended benefits.
We've not actually reaped the benefit for which we enacted the restriction law, because the idea was that when we restrict the export, then soybean grains will be made available in country for the processors to get access to the grains to process for the poultry industry. But now they are not getting, they aren't able to purchase and process. One, because of import of soybean meal into the country. What they process, the quality is not as high as what is imported, because most of the processing facilities are not soybean extraction, and therefore a lot of oil is left in the cake, which is not too good for layers. It's good for growers and also for the trade industry.
The Spring project, which aims to boost soybean production and food security in northern Ghana, officially ends this month. However, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, MOFA, says it remains committed to sustaining the progress made. Roland Ejay Ado of MOFA's Directorate of Crop Services revealed that the upcoming Feed Ghana project will continue supporting farmers and building on the Spring initiative.
The soybean industry is very safe with the explosion of Spring project.
Spring is the baby for soybean production, I think, in the northern part of the country. And with this, I think with government coming in with the Feed Ghana program, which is going to be a continuum of what Spring is doing, we are looking at supporting the smallholder farmers with inputs such as the seeds, inoculants, and fertilizer, which is going to enhance the productivity of the small-scale farmers, which Spring is already working with. In addition to that, I think the technology developed by Spring is a very good thing that we need to adopt in government programs, such as the good agronomic practices that they use to enhance the productivity of their small-scale farmers. We need to take these technologies, build the capacity of AEAs on these technologies, and expand the scope so that we can reach more farmers with the technology generated under this program.
Let's now bring you an update on how the currency is performing on the interbank markets. And that's it for CNL Business. I'm Nashika Caesar. Charles, take over.
Grateful to you, Shika. Let's now do some other stories and focus on politics as Member of Parliament for Abetifi and former Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Brian Achiampong, has declared his intention to contest the New Patriotic Party's flag-bearer position ahead of the 2028 general elections. Now, he revealed this during a meeting with the leadership of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, where he sought their prayers and support. Channel 1 News' Manuel Ayama has more.
Dr. Brian Achiampong received prayers from the leadership of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana during a closed-door meeting where he formally disclosed his ambition to lead the New Patriotic Party into the 2028 elections. The announcement follows a month-long internal assessment carried out by his team, engaging party delegates across the country. The engagement reportedly informed his decision to enter the flag-bearer race, with findings indicating a demand for a new direction within the party.
The important point is that the conclusion of the report suggested that there was a need to have a different candidate that can galvanize the party, unite the party for victory. There was also a need for that candidate to be able to demonstrate and give hope to the young people of this country that through their vision, they're able to create jobs for the youth of the country, provide security, and revamp the infrastructure of this country. And so, with that said, a decision has been made that I will contest.
In keeping with his religious and cultural values, Dr. Achiampong prioritized informing church leaders and receiving their blessings before making his intentions public.
As a product of the church, it will be a disappointment per my tradition for the moderator of the church or the Presbyterian General Council hears it for the first time on radio. So before a formal announcement is made, I thought it wise to come and inform the General Council and the moderator of the Presbyterian Church that this is what I have set out to do.
Now, as the flag bearership intentions unfold in the NPP camp, Dr. Brian Achiampong becomes the latest to officially declare his intention. For Channel 1 News, I am Manuel Ayama.
Now, as major campaign activities kick off ahead of that NPP flag-bearer race, party grassroots across the country are beginning to rally behind their preferred aspirants. In the Ashanti region, some NPP members, mostly traders, are backing former Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Aduchum as the ideal candidate to lead the party into the 2028 elections. Channel 1 News' Middle Belt Bureau Chief Hafiz Tijani has more in this report.
Endorsements from key party stakeholders and grassroots groups for prospective NPP flag-bearer aspirants have begun making headlines. At the railway section of Kumasi's Central Business District, a group of traders has shown its support behind former Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei Aduchum, urging the party to elect him as its presidential candidate for 2028.
Honorable Osaya Odichumi nipa ne hojo onim de obra ne ho ase o no ma bebre ho oba be deputy education minister ehun ne modern man obo nti na ahwe na fom utieti amanfo anom se papa oye substantive minister nkeye ampa na do sabe man ye substantive minister and kwasam say oba en to oba education no or the TV by or the fence ba ka ho no TVET and STEM na ebaya.
If you see if you say you do chuma. Emra na ro ko fa na ba ye no. Na the pop na education minister na obey an assistant. Say na emra na do yi na poko ye no. What the o say you do chum na be education minister. Emra oba ye so na mpa obey entutu ye.
Dr. Edichum recently declared his intention to contest in the upcoming flag bearer race when the MPP opens nominations. The trader cites his transformational work in the education sector as a key reason for their endorsement. They say his policies directly impacted their communities and livelihoods, and they have pledged to campaign vigorously for him ahead of the primaries.
Delegates no yes remo. Se mo ko to abanua enya sikasem e de say ye mamusika de che se o man mo nwene ho enya no e na ye hwehwe se de o man ye betiye anu nti e de samre ye gina ha.
Still with the New Patriotic Party, some stalwarts of the party, including Kwame Pianim and Papu Sakuma, have held talks with the flag bearer hopefuls, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, Dr. Yawase Duchum, Joe Gate, Kennedy Japon, and Brianna Champong. Now, this follows the intention some have declared to lead their party. Away from the NPP, Ghana and the Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, have signed a memorandum of understanding to establish a joint commission for cooperation between the two countries. Now, the agreement was signed following a 4-day state visit by Eswatini's leader, His Majesty King Mswati III. King Mswati and President John Dramani Mahama held brief bilateral talks upon his arrival at the Jubilee House, with strong calls made for enhanced trade among African nations.
Today we are happy to have signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Protocol, and that allows us to be able to ship goods and services into each other's markets. And so your visit and the bilateral discussion that will take place after will form the framework for the cooperation that exists between our two countries.
We have a lot in common, especially when it comes to culture, lifestyles, and so on. We can share a lot of ideas could be developed. Trade, of course, goes amongst other things, as the African Continental Free Trade Area is trying to promote trade within Africa, that let's trade more with African countries, because if you look at the trade within Africa, you can see that it is very limited. Okay. It is high time we really turn around that situation.
Now, the management of Rehoboth Estate has refuted allegations of power theft made by the Electricity Company of Ghana. Now, this follows a recent disconnection exercise by ECG at the Rehoboth Social Housing Estate in Damfa as part of its nationwide revenue mobilization campaign. Channel 1 News' Fauzi Masoudu has more in the following report.
Management of the Rehoboth Estate is pushing back against claims of illegal electricity connection by the Electricity Company of Ghana. Earlier this month, ECG disconnected several households within the estate, citing unauthorized access to power. However, in a media briefing, estate management explained that applications for electricity meters were submitted and full payments made as far back as 2023. Despite this, only a portion of the meters had been installed. Checks by Channel 1 News confirmed that homes currently occupied had functioning meters installed.
If you look around, we have already done the infrastructure for this estate. That includes roads, drains, we bought these poles ourselves, and then we have the cables that were also purchased by us. We are working closely with TEWU-GH. The point is that indeed in this estate we have finished the phase 1A, but majority of the houses were sold to people in the diaspora. We have just about 10% that are occupied. We have meters for all of them. We work with the electricity company and we have meters for those houses. Indeed, the phase 1B have not been handed over. We don't have meters in those houses. And then phase 2 is currently under construction.
With power now restored to affected households, estate management says it is working closely with ECG to expedite meter installations for the remaining units.
Indeed, when they came here, they wrongfully disconnected people who even have meters within the heat of the moment. Yeah, so they have come back to connect those people. And we have also, they brought some meters also. And they have also come to inspect the transformer that we have acquired and which has been installed. So I'm sure that by the time you come here again, you come and meet all the houses here, those that have been handed over and people occupying using meters.
As tensions ease at the Rehoboth estate, the spotlight now shifts to ensuring fair and timely service delivery to both developers and residents across similar housing projects. For a leading player in Ghana's housing sector, management of the Rehoboth social housing says illegalities have no place in its box. It has therefore reiterated its commitment in ensuring the provision of quality services, particularly within the remit of the law. Reporting for Channel 1 News, Fauzu Masaudu.
Now, this is still the Channel 1 Newsroom on Channel 1 TV. Still ahead. Ghana swimming boards eyes Commonwealth Games with optimism. We are back shortly. Please stay with us.
My name is Lydia Safwa. I'm from Safusco Ghana Limited. I'm the managing director for the company. I'll commend MasterCard Foundation and Absa Bank for the 10% loan for women-led businesses and agri-businesses, because this facility came in at the right time for Safusco. The facility helped us to get machinery for our detergent powder and other raw materials to help us come out with 3 products: the detergent powder, the African black soap, and the bleach. We're able to employ 15 youth in addition to our working force, and this has really helped boost our productivity and revenue as well. Annually, we organize the Global Hand Washing Day in schools within our vicinity. We hope to make sure that Safusco helps to combat diseases from the schools. We are trying to have volunteers within the school. Those volunteers will help make sure that the project is being sustained in the school.
Introducing Betway's Bet Influencer, a groundbreaking feature where you can make money by just sharing codes. He just needs to share his codes and make money. The more his codes are used, the more money he makes. Oh yes, so what are you waiting for? Anyone can be a bet influencer. Share your codes and make money. Bet Influencer, another world first from Betway.
This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Betway, get way more.
She's coming. She's coming.
Oh, it's in.
Boss, let's go back. Okay, here. Take this.
She's coming.
I know. Go to the pharmacy now.
She's coming. Oh.
She's here. Pay faster, pay safer, and pay easy with Momo app. Download now and pay with the QR code. merchant ID, and so much more.
Thank you for staying with us here on the Channel 1 Newsroom. Up next is Channel 1 Sports with Bernard Abeku. Hello, Abeku. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. You look good.
Yeah, thank you. You look good too.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Let's get into it, shall we? Now, the president of the Ghana Swimming Association, Delphina Quay, has shared her thoughts on the upcoming swimming championship with particular attention on preparations towards the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. She made these remarks in the lead-up to the African Aquatic Championship in August and the Channel 1 National Swimming Championship in July. Two events she believes offer valuable competition for the next generation of young Guinean swimmers.
You know, most of our swimmers are students who are battling education as well as swimming. And some of them ask themselves, after all these competitions, what does it hold for me? But there are prospects in swimming. It's an individual sport. So if you want to go far with swimming or with any other sport, which is an individual sport, it has to come from you. Your determination should be one, your interest should be the other, and then you can put in the effort that you want. For us and the Federation, we are looking out for this kind of people who have the interest, the determination, and who wish to go higher with the sports. When we see them and we see their efforts, then we are able to also help them advance this course. So for me, I think it's a very good thing that we have a full calendar that is month by month throughout the years. We have those competitions that brings the interest with this case. Like even though they are doing education, they also have something that they can look up to.
Away from swimming, let's do some boxing. Unified heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk could be on the brink of retirement, and Daniel Dubois is determined to usher him over the edge. Usyk and Dubois fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world at the Wembley Stadium next month. But only this week it emerged that Usyk had split from long-term promoter Alexander Krysiuk. Dubois interprets that as a hint the Ukrainian is on the verge of quitting the sport.
I'm just tunnel vision on my journey, making my legacy, leaving my mark on this sport, and worked really hard to get here. I'm not going to be denied now. I'm at the door, and I'm just going to kick it in.
Yeah, don't just open it, kick it in. What about how you see yourself? I thought, you can put me right or you can put me wrong. When you went into the Joshua fight, you loved that underdog mentality, that 98% of the people in that arena were supporting him and didn't back you. I wonder how you see yourself this time, because you've got a legitimate heavyweight title. Do you see yourself as the favourite, as the champion, or do you still have that underdog siege mentality?
Underdog all the way. So it's how in the story of my career, so I'm going to keep that mindset. I'm an underdog for life, and I'm just going to keep breaking.
Well, that's your sport, and I am Bernard Abeku. Over to you, Charles.
Thank you, Abeku. In more news, the National Youth Authority has announced plans to provide allowances for participants in the upcoming National Apprenticeship Program. The authority says the measure is aimed at encouraging full participation and ensuring optimal outcomes for beneficiaries. Now, this was disclosed at a stakeholder engagement with master craftsmen in Accra as part of preparations for the program's official rollout. More in this report.
With the National Apprenticeship Program set to launch in July, the National Youth Authority convened master craftsmen from across the country to discuss the initiative's implementation and expected impact. The program, spearheaded by the Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment through the NYA, is designed to equip thousands of young Ghanaians with practical, job-ready skills to foster long-term employment and economic growth. Speaking after the meeting, NYA Chief Executive Officer Osman Ayariga emphasized that the program will be implemented fairly without political interference or favoritism.
As part of the first 10,000 people to be selected, we're looking at people living with disabilities. Now, if you're a person living with disabilities, whether you're NDC or NPP, you will pay. Then within the rest, we look at the most vulnerable among the vulnerable in society. Because poverty has no political color, poverty has no political name, unemployment has no.
And that'll be all for this edition of the Channel One Newsroom. I am Charles Osukumi. Thank you for watching.